Very hard-fought game on Saturday. Plenty of opportunities for us to be successful in the game. Thought our kids played hard. I thought we played really well in spurts at times, and then they give them credit. They affected us in some ways, and when they made plays, they had good players too. We need to play with a little more consistency, and we need to coach them. Like I say, we got to get them to where in the coaching part we can do it consistently and never let up. Because we had played a good, very solid first half in the game. And the big thing, second half, we didn't score any points in the second half. We got to score points in the second half, do a better job of finishing drives. The first half, in the game, we're in the red zone 4 times with 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals, and we didn't do it. And then we had missed, of course, Owen, you said the other day, we didn't start that drive. I didn't mean to interrupt the other day. We didn't start it, but we did get to the 19, which puts us in the red zone. I was misconstrued, but we missed a 3rd and 1, the 4th and 1 right there. We didn't execute. There was 3 times there we got 6 points, and once we, the first time we just went for 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. We felt confident about what we had a good play. We just got to get it executed. And then it was a tough one, but we knew that's going to be in those situations. Then the next time we just actually made a high throw. We had a guy open and missed a high throw, and then we scored the last time and got a penalty and got moved back and didn't get the touchdowns out of it. And that was critical in the game and in part what we did. But, we knew running the ball would be tough against them. They did a good job. We had some really good runs. It was more your rushing yards we get in stats. You guys get in stats. If you really want to know what rushing yard, take the sacks away from that and add those back into rushing yards and take the sacks off your passing yards. That's what, like the NFL does. That's the real way we measure it. But we had some good runs at time. We got some good stretch runs going out of the spread look and made a couple runs. Unfortunately, second half when we got going, we had the turnover. We got a defense. They had a good drive, but then Bryce makes a really good pick in the second half. Got a good job. And then fortunately, the second play, we just missed a twist. Our guard tackle just missed a twist inside. And they had pressure, and he's trying to – so we had a nice route down the field open, but they got to us on the twist, and he's trying to get up to his tight end, and wish he could have thrown a little more in front, and they got the turnover right back. I thought that was a critical play in the game that allowed them to get the momentum back after our defense had made a really good play to get them stopped off of that. And then we drive down and move the ball again and miss a 3rd and 2. 3rd and 2, and we don't even gain a yard, so it's 4th and 1, and we have a drive there. And then the next drive we come back, and we got a good play, and we ran into the official. They come back and scored, and we hit the official on a slant route that was going to be a good one. And then the next play, Anias gets on top, and we don't get the ball. And we got to get it out there to him. He made a really good route, and we got to get it. And then, of course, we get the blocked field goal. And we turned all we did on that. He stepped down in, gapped it, and just got his shoulder, just leaned a little bit, got his feet tied up, and letting his left shoulder down, created a seam. And they got through. It was a critical play in the game, and we can't let that happen. Then we get sacked down there and give up a safety, and then we drive back and score, have it down there ready to, and could have scored then with 3.5 minutes. And then we end up getting the penalty and on the touchdown, and then didn't get the deal, and then they end up getting the first down on the 3rd and tip it up on a guy's knee and do it. But listen, our guys played hard. They played physical. We got to do a better job coaching, just getting them to do it better and better. And what we did, had plenty of opportunities in the game. Kids were physical, played hard, competed hard. Hey, it's 4-4-2. We're not exactly where we want to be, but there's a lot of football left, and we got to play a big game this week in Tennessee, and we got to get back together and go play. So, questions?
Out front, Brett.
Your defense did a good job of getting them in some 3rd and longs in those situations, but then they capitalized on that. When you go back and look at the tape, what are some of the remedies there, solutions?
Well, I think, and we were in 2nd and long. We brought 5, and we had 7-man protection, got us blocked up, and got enough time to hold the ball to get it down the field. And we had pretty decent coverage on the over route, and they made it. And we had a 3rd and 9, a 3rd and 14. They made plays on those 2 drives in the second half, unfortunately. And what they did, just got to win some one-on-one blocks. I mean, earlier we had 6 sacks in the game and 8 tackles for loss. And when you're getting those, you're winning some of your one-on-one battles. And sometimes they blocked us a couple times in what they did and got the ball off. And then Milroe made good throws. He threw the ball probably as well as he has and dropped back in any game he's played and did a really good job of getting them. And 3 did a good job of getting open on what they did. And then they caught a slant route. They got a quick route out one time. We got to get the inside leverage and get that cut off. And he got inside on a slant route and got through on a 3rd and 9. It got out on time. So we just got to keep coaching and get them in a better position.
Just follow up to that. How much of that is on the secondary as well?
Well, in any of that, I mean, it all goes hand in hand. But you got to make the ball come out on time. I mean, you can only cover so long in the secondary. I mean, secondary guys can say it, but they got pretty good time on that one. That few they got blocked up, and the other one's a quick route. The slant comes out really quick. It's hard to get the guys on slant. You may affect him or get a hit on him, but unless it's clean and somebody busts an assignment, very rarely do you ever sack a quarterback on a slant. And they got it out, and we got to be a little bit better coverage, a little tighter right there.
When that official was in the way, is that squarely on him? How does that work?
Listen, great friggin' question. But usually what happens when they're at 9, they're supposed to step, well, I understand, they always get up to 6 to 7 yards. And so we don't run routes off of those guys. He's a little bit deeper. He's almost 9.5, 10 yards deep, and they're not there very often. He happened to be there, and it is what it is. I mean, I ain't nothing else I can say, right? It is what it is, and we happen to have a great play called at the time that he and the official met. Give him a 12th defender, and that's it's just part of what you go with, I guess.
Staying down Frank Travis.
Doesn't happen very often, but unfortunately, it happened at a critical time. But we still had opportunities. We got to overcome it, and we got to do a better job and help them.
What is y'all's clock management system within the coaching staff? Is there one coach that's in?
We know exactly how many timeouts it takes, when it goes, and the reason for that, we had 250. We had scored with 3:36, then we got it back to about 2:48. The play that hurt in the second down play, we took a sack. That hurt us on second down. We got to throw that ball away on second down and ran it down. So when we ran the play on third down, we hurried up, got a play. We had 2 shots in the end zone trying to get the big guy there, and we got tackled on the 2. There's 2 minutes and 14 seconds left. So whether you're going to kick a field goal there at 3-2 because you have to have 2 scores. So we got to secure the first one to give us a chance. If you keep 3, you're going to save maybe 6 seconds. All right, if you don't call the timeout there and you rush your field goal team out, all right, it's going to take you 25 to about 30 seconds to get lined up because it's on the far hash. And the other part of it, you're in unbalanced. Because anytime you're inside the 10 and on a hash, you have to unbalance, which is another call. And we had just had a field goal blocked. So I said, I want to make sure if I take the time out here, probably a 6-second difference overall, but we're still going to get the ball back. If we stop them with 2 and get the kick, there should be about a minute 10 to 20 left on the clock if it goes like it should have, and we would have it with no timeouts. Otherwise, we may have it with a minute 22. But I wanted to make sure we secured the field goal, so I took the timeout there to make sure we got lined up, got the unbalance because we just had one blocked, and make sure we got the call. So we have sheets that know when guys can take a knee. Actually, when they got the first down, they screwed up. All they had to do was take a knee. They threw the ball and threw a play and then ran the ball. If they take a knee on first down, they never have to run another play. I mean, the game would have been over with once they got the first down with a minute 30 or a minute 40. And I don't know why they hurried up and threw the ball and got the clock stopped, which saved us from at least having a chance at the end to have one play left. All they had to do was take a knee and end the game. So I don't know why they did that, but it gives us a chance. But at the end, we might have saved 6 seconds, but I wanted to make sure we got the field goal set and made it to get us back to 1 score. And if we got them stopped, we would have gotten the ball back with approximately a minute 10 with no timeouts.
I know you mentioned you have sheets that spell things out. Is there a specific coach that's in charge of kind of?
Yeah, we have guys up top go over that, but not in that situation. I know it. Like, listen, that thing I can recite it to you in my head. I mean, like I said, when they I couldn't believe they threw the ball and were running the ball. I said when they got that first down, I said game over. Then they threw it, and I went, oh, we may have a chance to have 3 or 4 seconds to run a play at the end. I mean, those things are in you know them after so long for what's in your head.
And then, is there any updates on Layden Robinson and Tony Grimes? What's their
Layden?
Not Layden. Ruben Fothery and
Ruben's
Tony
still
Grimes.
trying to rehab and get back. And Tony he practiced a day or two, and he's got a lower body injury that bothers him, and then it swells up and bothers him for a couple of days, and he can't practice, and he hasn't been able to practice consistently since the season began. He practiced a little bit here and there, and then it'll irritate him, and we wanted to play him and try to get him back. We can't get him all the way healthy to get him back in there.
Front left, Mark, and then we'll go second row right.
Well, part of my question just got answered. I was going to say, after the trouble that DeBerry and Deuce had.
There's a reason we weren't.
I was going to.
But I was hoping that if we think we get him back, but some of those things, some of those injuries that. And like I say, guys will tell me, hey, I want to play, and then all of a sudden something will swell up on them. I mean, it is what it is.
But is there a possibility that we might see maybe McCall or maybe Javon Thomas?
Well, any other thing we could, and we'll look around. But Josh still did some good things. A couple of those balls, he's there to make the play. They made contested catches, and then he bid on a double move. We bid on a double move one time, in which we were pushing people under him to help him. He could have stayed back on that one. Just made a mistake. But he's played good ball. He's tackled well, and we'll find the guys that do it, and he's still doing a good job in a lot of things though.
Second row right, David, and then Olin.
Jimbo, Tennessee may be your biggest offensive threat this year you face. They run the ball well, they throw well, they don't give up a lot of sacks. Just overall, this year.
They're a very good team. That's why getting to them. Offensively, they're three. They got 3-back system. 0, 2, and 6. The running backs can all have juice. They're strong, and you think of them fast, but they're 210, 15 pounds. Small. Those guys are all really good players up there. The receiver, 10 is he's got juice. Squirrel is. He is like a squirrel. Trying to get a hold of that guy, but he plays physical for a guy that's 165, 70 pounds. He can run. The receivers outside are tall. Mixon, it's hard to get on the ground. Remember him from high school. He was a Florida kid in Orlando when he came out. He's big and strong, and he can tell you what you'll see in that game when he throws deep balls. He'll throw them. Our DBs are going to have to pay attention because it's balls that you usually don't see thrown that far. They're in the air 60 yards, sometimes 70 yards, and you're not used to ever playing the ball that far in the air. They do a really good job that way, and he can run. He's strong. Offensive line's very good in what they're doing. They're running the ball and got good bounce. Tight end's a good player. Defensively, they got rush guys on the edge. 27 and 30 can bring it. Backer 6 is all over the place, can make plays. They rush. They're physical up front. Inside guys, 21, those guys are big. 5 and 1 at corner are good, and the safeties tackle well. They do a good job. 12 and those guys at nickel. So they got a really good team. Their punter can kick it right-footed or left-footed. I think he's only had 2 balls returned all year. It's all rugby stuff, and he can roll to the right and kick it or roll to the left and kick it, which is a problem. Field goal kicker 7 out of 8. So they're good in the field goal. He's our guys from Aussie, but he can't kick it right and left. So, but they kick it right and left and do a good job, and their special teams and their returners are good. So they're a good football team. And then offensively, like I say, they run and pass, and the quarterback's hard to get on the ground. Joe's like KJ. He's a big physical guy.
Can you put your finger on some of the struggles on the road the last couple of seasons, and have you thought about changing anything?
Well, change it how you approach. What do you go to the hotel this day, that time? What you approach is your maturity, how you play, how you practice. We'll do things different. We'll crank up maybe more crowd noise. We'll crank up more situations. We'll do, that constantly does change. And usually on the road, what happens, mature teams play well on the road. Mature teams that are confident and trusting things and believe in themselves. It's hard. But, you just saw Alabama. What they have, 8 false starts? They had 11 penalties or 10, 11 penalties. They had 8 false starts in a group of guys. So, you're on the road in this league. It's hard. Tennessee is one of those hard places. But hopefully your maturity and your leadership, and we're a little bit older this year, hopefully those things will help. And, again, staying focused. And that's, unfortunately, that's what happened in this game in the first part of that second half. We had a critical mistake when we got a turnover that could have had a big play coming back, and we got to sustain. And we got to pick up our short yard. We got to do a better job in short yardage and picking those things up, and hopefully that's what it gets down to. So we're always changing reps, what we do in practice, what we do on. We change constantly and try to look for things or different ideas from different coaches who've had success different times.
Second row on the right, Olin.
Jimbo, excuse me, been having some trouble with my voice. How do you ensure that your guys are able to bounce back and play with the same intensity against Tennessee that they played with Alabama?
You just tell them what we did wrong. In the locker room, you saw a hurt locker room. You saw a disappointed locker room. You didn't see a dejected or a quitting locker room. You get guys that, and our kids have character. They have heart. I think they're going to play their tails off. They knew it. And like I say, I got back in that game. I said, you got to do ordinary things in games, and that's what it gets down to. And a lot of our critical things, we got to do a better job of coaching those ordinary things, and then they guys got to execute them just a little bit better in critical moments. But they see it. There's no rift. We're not blaming them. I blame myself for what we got to prepare them better, get them ready to play better. And what's funny? I have kids call me, Coach, it's my fault. It's not going to happen again. No, it's not your fault. You tried. God, there's caring in there. As long as there's caring and there's love for each other, you're going to go back and play hard and do what you got to do.
And the issues in short yardage.
Well, the first one was a missed assignment. The very first 3rd and 1, we had a missed assignment up front. We had one guy go the wrong way, and it cost us. And on 4th and 1, we just got to execute. We have the play. We just got to get it done. And then a 3rd and 2, they got push wasn't on our line. They creased us at the tight end. They got the good guys and got some push back inside on one of our tight ends backside that caused us not to get up in the seam and get it. So we've been pretty good on short yardage up until this point. We've actually been on the goal line. We got down there when we got in goal line. The time before we were able to run with our power formation. we got in. So we'll go back and evaluate it. We'll evaluate who we give it to and who we run behind. I mean, sometimes in those situations, it's about personnel. And what I'm saying is make sure you're running behind the right guy, make sure you're giving it to the right guy. You always see guys, certain guys are really good short yardage backs, or certain guys are good goal line backs, or we got to make sure we identify that and get the guys the right ball. Because Le'Veon's been running really good, but we got to make sure we give him some room to stick it up in there.
So no concerns about just the physicality of the offensive
I
line?
don't think that and they're scared. Listen, and those guys on that side, guys, we stopped them. They're physical. I mean, you ain't going to play any bigger, stronger front guys than you just played. And I don't mean that in any disrespect to anybody else. They're going to be as physical and as strong as anybody and have been for years. So, I mean, that's a battle. And we won a couple, they won a couple. And unfortunately, they won one that 3rd and 2 was critical. That on the other, the 3rd and 1, the first one, we didn't give ourselves a chance because we made a mental mistake. We said we had to step and create a seam for them. But the others, we got to be better. Yes, sir.
Coach,
There's always, listen, physicality is always it's a priority and something we try to emphasize, and it's always a concern because the people you play in this league always have good D linemen. So that's why we work it hard and try to do it as live as you possibly can without hurting people in practice as much as we can.
right before TV road, Chip, and then we'll go Tyler on the left.
Jimbo, your red zone touchdown percentage is about 57%. Do you have a percentage that
Over 75. You want
75?
when you're 75 or better in the red zone, you're better. That's why I said we've neglected a couple times, and it's been throws and runs. It's I mean, you miss both. We had was it the ULM game? We missed 2 down there. We kicked 4 field goals that day, but we had 2 guys wide open we missed reads on in that game, and we had one at Auburn. The first drive at Auburn, we had a middle read that we should have gotten to, and then this game was more, we had some opportunities. But yeah, you want to be at least 3 out of 4. If you're 3 out of, we always used to say 70, I always say 75. I've led it before with 80, 88, 90. But if you're 75%, you're usually a pretty good ratio, especially playing good people, if you can get touchdowns. Yes, sir, and we got to do a better job. We got to score more points and get the ball in the end zone in the red zone.
You were +1 in turnovers on Saturday.
Yep.
For the season, you're -3. I know we've talked about it for a while. I know you work on it every day. What's
Well,
the key
and the other
there?
thing is you got to create. We hadn't created a lot, and we hadn't gotten a lot of turnovers. We got a couple the last couple weekends, and really, the games we've gotten. I count a 4th down stop as a turnover too in that regard. So we got one of those against Arkansas, and where we didn't. We got 2 good turnovers this game. They put us, and one was stop the drive, and one gave us them points, and we got a sack on the second play and didn't get it in. But you're trying to create. You can't on defense. The thing you got to be careful of saying go create turnovers. You got to tackle the ball. You got to strip the ball, and you got to do it. But if you go trying to create turnovers or trying to intercept balls, sometimes you'll miss passes. In offense, we got to do a good job of taking and keeping it away. Unfortunately, the Arkansas game, we had a fumble, and Max had a throw out there we didn't need to throw, and then unfortunately when he tucked, he fumbled. In this game, trying to get it away, and we got to eliminate him. We had one, but one's too many. You get turnovers, and you got to eliminate them. That's the number 1 outcome in games.
Back behind the lights on the left, Tyler, and then to the right, Ben.
Yeah, Jimbo, you said Tennessee's got a couple guys that that can pass rush. How much on Saturday was it that the pass protection maybe needs to improve?
Well, it
Max
does a
need
little,
to-
but sometimes we got to get the ball out. Sometimes we got to get through a progression. It's a combination. We had some protection, but we had some of those balls. And no offense, that should have been out and had places to go with it, and we got to get rid of it. It's a combination. Sometimes you get caught hanging on the ball trying to create a big play. We got enough playmakers if you just distribute the ball to our guys and let them catch and run. And we had some, at the end when it got one-dimensional, they were teeing off and coming, and they were trying to collapse those edges a little bit. But there's some balls in our, we got to get out a little bit, and I think we can get to our guys a little bit quicker and get through the progression a little bit better too. It's a combination of both. It's a combination of both.
With it being on the road, especially in an environment like Neyland, it's got to be that much more difficult to get those plays out.
Well, no, you're reading it. Listen, the good thing is it's noise. The good thing on the field is they got 11 dudes, you got 11 dudes. You know what I mean? It's still 100 yards long. So as far as what you're reading and doing those things, that communication can be tougher. That can be the problem. That's the thing you got to make sure. If your communication's good, then you just got to trust your eyes. Then your eyes, they can't do anything about that. But we got to make sure we're communicating well and everybody's on the same page, gets the right call or the check or whatever you got to do to make sure that we're doing that. That's the biggest concern when you're on the road. It's the communication part. And hearing the snap count, hearing those things like Alabama had an issue with, or making sure your hand signal, everybody gets on the same page. Once that's done, then it goes back to your eyes, which you should be able to go play football.
Right side behind the lights, Ben.
Coach, just talking about bouncing back from, as you mentioned, just the hurt locker room. I know. How do you get the guys, I guess, to sort of reprogram to where, You know, you give them the coaching points, 24-hour rules, and I
You
know
do
they're-
it to
I know
win.
they're cliches because they're true, but how do you get them to actually just by second nature kind of go into that mode?
You do it all the time. Your whole program's based off that. The way you practice, the way your off season set up. Believe it or not, how you set up off season, how you set practices up, how you set drills up. That's why we try to practice at such a fast pace and get so many reps and get guys' minds off of it, and you get them to understand. Even when you know, and sometimes the biggest problem is not just having failure; it's having success. You want to dwell on the big win. You see it all the time. You see teams dwell on the big win, and then the next week come out and lay an egg. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing whether you win or lose. That goes back to maturity, and that's one of the things I like, that we do have good leadership. We have a mature team and an older team, and I think those guys will help in that regard in making sure our young guys understand that. But, you know, it's a double-edged sword whether you win or you lose. You know what I mean? Especially you win a big game,
Left side, third row, Alex.
which all big games. They're all big games. I say
Alex.
big games. They're all big games.
Alex Carter and Assis, you'll wrap us up.
Hey, Jimbo, just what have you seen from Edgerrin Cooper's continued development the last few weeks in particular?
I'm going to tell you what. He's trusting himself and his eyes more. His coaching, what I'm saying, and that comes with maturity. All right, I really, you know, sometimes you say players have doubt. They don't have doubt. But it's what they say. They don't want to make a mistake. It's not doubt. You have guys that, you know, they want to be perfect. They want to do things right, so that makes you be hesitant. Right now, he's got enough maturity, and he knows his assignments, and he's trusting his eyes, and he's pulling the pin and tackling. And listen, when he runs and explodes, man, he's one heck of an athlete. You know what I'm saying? He hits and he does things. He's tackling better. He's bending better, getting in better position. And what it's coming, Matt, is confidence, experience, and he's trusting what he's seeing, and he's reacting and not thinking. And then when he reacts, he's so athletic that he gets to place. I think we had 3 sacks this week, didn't he? I mean, tackles for loss and tackles, and he made 10 or 11 tackles. I can't remember what it was. We had,
11.
but you know, him scraping and blitzing, and he's become a better blitzer. You know, it's experience. It's amazing when a guy will stay for 3 or 4 years that how much better they play. Hope they all take it, you know, adhere to that.
Left side, Carter, and then Assis, you'll wrap us up.
Hey, Jimbo. Evan Stewart had a great start to the game, but I think in the last 3.5 quarters, he only had 1 catch. And I know the official had a.
Well, he had one, and we had him targeted and called for about 6 others. We had balls that he was a primary that we didn't get to. We should have thrown. We could have got him 3 or 4 of those bubble screens. We could have got him that one he caught earlier. There was 3 or 4 chances there that we were, you know, hopefully getting touches on him there. A couple of verticals we had, and you're right. We got to get the ball in one's hands. We had it targeted a couple times, and Reed's a couple times he went back to a nice on a read that Evan is viable on. He could go either side with a slant or that option route. You know, some of the things we're doing on each side. He's got the ability to off leverage of what they're doing, but we got to get the ball in Evan's hands. There's no doubt. Evan's got to touch it, and your playmaker's got to touch it, and he's one of them.
And then I want to ask you about like kind of the decision-making process for like just 4th and 1s and field goals and stuff like that.
4th
How
and
much
1,
do you lean?
the first 4th and 1 we went to, I'll go through them all. First 4th and 1 down there, we got good momentum. I like what the call we had. We knew what we had. We had the play. We just got to get it executed. We messed up the 3rd and 1. The second one, we were 3rd and 2. Score was 17-17. They had just scored a touchdown. We're still in the 3rd quarter. We didn't gain a full yard. It was a little bit longer than a yard. We went for it on 3rd and 2, and it made it 4th and just over a yard. We're on the 45. We got the best kicker in the country who I think, as I call it, can wedge it on the 1, 2, 5 yard line as good as anybody. And unfortunately, when I wanted to pin him back and play because our defense had been playing well. And instead of, if you don't make it there, and we just missed a 3rd and 1, we'd missed a 4th and 1 already and missed another 3rd and 1. So why not pin him back, let the defense get it back in good field position? And unfortunately, that's one he kicked into the end zone. But then they still did an 80-yard drive in that regard there. So that was the 2 4th and 1s on that regard.
I was wondering, like, how much do you lean on gut feeling and analytics?
We lean on analytics, and you also realize on points and momentum of the game. You got to understand when the momentum, and wasn't a time at that time once we failed on 3rd and 1 and had a 3rd and 2, had 4th and longer than 1, and they had just scored a touchdown. If we give them the ball back at midfield, why am I giving that away? And our defense is playing their tails off, and we got the best punter, in my opinion, or one of the top 2 or 3 guys. I haven't had one that can stick it inside the 10 as much as he does. And wanted to pin him back and hold that and then get it back. And because moving the ball, we moved the ball. We consistently moved the ball up and down the field. And some of the things that we didn't do was on our own mistakes that caused us not to move the ball. But there, so I go. I know the analytics and I know the feeling. You got to understand the flow of the game. And thought those one right there was not time to do it.
Left side, Assis, you wrap us up.
You talked about matching Alabama's physicality. A lot of people talk about that. Alabama hangover. So where do you stand physicality? Because Tennessee also had an open date last week.
Well, but physicality, Listen, we're built. If you look at our guys, we have a big football team. We're built for physicality. We're built for endurance and for that. So we'll hopefully be just as, we got to be just as physical. And every game you match in this league, you better be physical. Everybody's physical in this league. And Tennessee's very physical and plays hard too. So that's just what you do week in, week out.
In a kickoff return, it looked like there's maybe some miscommunication one time between Smith and Owens where they let the ball
Who
bounce.
called? They got to call it. And two's got to get up there and make the me call. And he went to do it, and he froze, and then froze on 17. They got to tell 17 to get up to get communication there. They got to do a better job. We were lucky on that ball hitting the ground. Anais went over and started to take it. Then he felt two coming, and we got to get that done. Yes.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time.
Thank you, guys.